Flight Boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon, Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I want to talk about how to interpret or how to truly understand ancient mythology. Now, I don't care. We need to get out of this that these things are not real. It may not be real towards physical because the physicality, the energy portion may be disintegrated or something like that now, and you're just catching the essence of the frequency vibrations. But this is what you need to understand. There's a physical energy truth, there's a soul vibrational truth, and there's a frequency spiritual truth. Now, the physical truth will be time, history, lineage. You see what I'm saying? Your soul vibrational truth will be resonance, what's relevant, what you resonate with, understanding. Now, the spiritual truth will be myth, mystery. So this is spiritual truth. So this is what you need to understand when you're understanding any type of ancient civilization. And I don't care if you want to go to Greek, I don't care if you want to go to ancient Sumerian. They were all talking about the same thing. That's what you need to understand. They was all talking about the same thing. For an example, if you want to talk about Greek or Roman, or now throughout this video, I want to pertain more to what y'all familiar with, which is actually you know, y'all still in Rome because y'all got buildings and things of that nature, and y'all still use Greek literature and things of that nature. So, but I'm gonna correlate it even to like Sumerian. For an example, Greek or Roman god, let's say Greek is called Saturn, but that would be what? The Roman god of, well, that would be the Roman god of Kronos. You see what I'm saying? Or is it the other way around? Kronos may be the Roman version, and Saturn may be the Greek version. You see what I'm saying? But if you want to go to ancient Sumerian, that's Anu. They will be talking about Saturn. You see what I'm saying? So it don't matter what civilization it is. They're all pointing to the same thing. It's just each civilization is finding their own way to incorporate the spiritual truth that they are attaining from energy, frequency, vibrations of beings that may have perceived this playing field before them. Now, also when we go to you could go through any, the Mesopotamians, or however you want to explain it. I could break them all down. They all talking about the same thing. Now, I'm going to get you an understanding of how to look at these things. Now, before we break it down of what these things is actually doing and why they are real, but the illusions and the filters that people are creating over them is what's messing things up. But these are one of the first beings that pushed out in this realm of reality the frequency vibrations of rulership and guardianship and things of that nature, and doing things right, and attached to all y'all religions and all the where paganism came from, everything. Now look, these are frequency vibrations. Now what you need to understand is, as a spirit, your spirit is something like a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable, smokeless flame. So you have ones that preceded you, aka bigger ones. Then you have medium ones, and all sizes, different sizes. So let's say you're the size you are. The body that you are able to create for yourself, as far as light, sound, sound, light, and condition in some type of shape or form in the realm of reality, based upon what other beings there preceded you to bounce off. You're only able to take that, create that kind of brain and create that kind of body, and whatever dimension that you're able to perceive. That's your level of consciousness. Now, in every realm of reality and dimension, you're able to gain enough information and go through enough experiences to make your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable smoke gas, which is your spirit, your conscious, big enough to be able to inhabit a bigger vessel, a bigger light, a bigger sound, you know what I'm saying, a bigger vessel, a bigger body. So as you retain the information through the body of the being that preceded you, the bigger being that was able to create a bigger brain and create a bigger body, aka what y'all would look at like a planet or a star or constellation or something like that, this spirit that can take that, once you're traveling through their realm of reality in the astral realm as a spirit, you have to go through them and attain all their kind of information. Then you will be able to have enough information to take a vessel like them, because you have resonated or built brain mechanisms and things of that nature. So this is this is true astrology right here. Now, so when we talk about life forms. You always got smaller life forms and larger life forms. So you can look at it as everything is expansion and contraction. And with the largest expansion and contraction, many smaller versions of expansion and contractions get formulated out of there that got added by other different ways. And this creates space and travel within this space. Now this is how, once you get the understanding of this is going to get you to understand that there's a life force that may have been your size here before you, but now the life source is bigger. So we're all in the same position, but it's not perceived that way based upon our size. Now, here's how you look at it. In the spirit realm, there was initially a playing field, an initial playing field. Now, this playing field is like, this is how the spirit sees it. Right now, before all the other playing fields, but we won't get to that. Now, it was a playing field in this realm of reality that we're at, and then with this playing field, it starts to vibrate, and once it vibrate, which means get experienced, this playing field get experienced so much, it become like a first form of a firmament, or first form of something solidary, or first form of energy. An energy playing field. So it's an energetic field now. So you may look at this as a vortex, spiral, and things of that nature. But in higher life form realms, that's how they will look at it. And in the spirit realm, this is how your spirit is looking at it. Now, so we're all in the same place, but it don't appear that way based upon size. For an example, if you was the balloon, you would feel like the balloon. But if you are something within that balloon, you, relative to your space, to all the other things that's in that balloon, you know, let's just say it's a bunch of rocks or things in the balloon. Based upon all the other things that's relative to in that balloon, they're gonna feel like they're within something. But really, they're just smaller life forms within a bigger life form. You see what I'm saying? So now that you get an understanding, this is how you're supposed to look at the ancient civilizations. Now they're smaller life forms than us. So when you look at Earth, let's say Earth right now, Earth, to a smaller life form, Earth will appear as a constellation, right? So within this constellation, you have a bunch of stars, aka bunch of beings, light bodies, that create this constellation. So smaller life forms, so we are smaller life forms to others, but I'm trying to get you to understand this. And the ancients kind of understood how to perceive it this way. Now, as smaller life forms, looking at Earth as it being a constellation, because they are a smaller life form than us, how we perceiving things, they would perceive Earth and a bunch of other things as a constellation. So what makes up this constellation? The stars that they would draw out, you would say things like, you got the table, the car, the fireman, the president, the queen. You see what I'm saying? The bird. And then each of these play out characteristics, and then we would have a start reference. So we would have to start from a celebrity, or someone that's in authority, or someone who has some type of impact. Because don't nobody remember no flunkies or junkies or sidekicks or nothing. People always remember the person who put in the work and created something here for people to always understand, right? So a person of authority or a star or celebrity to some degree is where all these stories that you can even be remembered to come from. Just think about celebrities in your life. You only remember Michael Jackson because of what Michael Jackson did 20 years ago. But there was a whole bunch of other people who was out 20 years ago. You see what I'm saying? But you don't remember them because they wasn't as impactful as Michael Jackson. So correlate that to Queen Elizabeth, correlate that to the president or whatever like that, and correlate it to this also in the spiritual realm. So when you're looking at in these times, now you will look at like Earth, smaller beings will look at this like constellations. So boom, Earth as a constellation. So boom, you got the tree. Boom, and then we would correlate how all these things correlated to the celebrity, or how the star or the person that was in power, or the queen or whatever it was in power, how they related to these things. So this is where we would base the story off of. So we'll say like, okay, the president, and we'll base the story off that. So if we was a smaller being, we'll be looking at this constellation like, okay, the president, that's a big ass gamma star or something like that. Then we'll have the tree will be a star too, and then but we're correlated to the energies based upon how it correlates to this person's life, these person's lives and things of that nature. So this is how you get constellations now, like the video I just did about the pyramids and Orion belt. These motherfucking powerful beings who walked the earth and made civilizations carve out and shape and form pyramids to align, and that their energy, frequency, vibrations, their star, wherever they at. But if you look at the constellation, it's just in the belt of Orion. So their frequency vibration in that world was only large enough to be part of a belt, some belt material in that world. But to them, they're probably really living in existence. Same way you got clothes, you got cotton on you. There's probably living existences in this. And then you got your star constellation, your body, your pores, your cells in you. Then you got the air molecules and things, which are smaller stars. Then you got the things that make the table. Then you got the things that make the bag and shit. All these are life forms, different stars. So when you look at different organs and different things and all the different roles that's playing on Earth, they're just different stars. No two stars the same. And they carry out different attributes. So when you're looking up in the constellations, you may be seeing a chariot, you may be seeing a lung, you may be seeing a heart, you may be seeing a tree. They all carry out different attributes. So each star play out different. But see, y'all look at them as all like they're particular things. But you have to correlate it to how you're looking on Earth. Everything has its own role, but everything is still life. You got the grass, you got the water, you know what I'm saying? You got all this shit. So when you look in the sky, each of those is just because you see a star right here and a star over here, they're different things. This is why the closest stars to us, you got the sun, Mercury, Venus. They all doing different things. You're on one. You're on Earth. They're all doing different things. They're all represent different portions of something. You see what I'm saying? So you may have a group of a bunch of ones doing the same thing, but that's here or there. Everything is interacting with each other. So that's how you would look at it. Now take yourself out of the smaller life form as looking at Earth as a constellation, or Sun as the constellation itself, or Venus as a constellation itself, right? Now since you're in a bigger life form, you have to look at it like this. Now, the constellation is a group of stars all brought together to become one being. Same way, so Earth. So if you was looking at Earth as a constellation, all these stars, which is you, and the bugs and the animals and the trees, all the stars on Earth is what creates the body of Earth. Now take yourself in the mind of Earth. Earth is a being now, Gaia. So this it's not paying attention to you and within it. It's the being just like you are a being now. And all of us make up it. So now we're going to get into the story of how you're supposed to understand ancient mythology, spiritual truth. Now that you understand that, now you're looking at Earth as a being. Now Gaia. Now as far as the war in the heavens and what created everything that's around us, it was the same story. So this is what all the Greeks, Sumerians is trying to explain to you. It's the same thing, but since we're on a lower level now, we're getting conflated on how this actually took place. But they're actually explaining where was on the spiritual playing field where we was at, and now these are ascendant things, bigger versions of shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas. And the bodies that they're taking, we're moving within these, traveling as smaller versions of that, trying to perceive and learn their ways so we can learn how to take one of their vessels. Now that you understand that, this war in the heavens start with us, with Gaia, which is what we're in, which is a woman, a feminine energy. So this is how we know that. And Uranus. You see what I'm saying? Now, when these two came together and start fucking and shit like that, this is when you get the birth of Saturn. Now, Saturn is the youngest of the Titans. You see what I'm saying? Because the earth element, the elemental inner frequency vibrations of the star that Gaia is carrying, and the frequency vibrations, energies of the star that Uranus is carrying is similar. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they're kind of beings. Same way they're their kind of species. The sun and Venus are different species. Same way you see here, you got lions, tigers, See what I'm saying? It's different species, so they play out different things. Or if you want to say different species, or different organs, or whatever you want to call it, it's a different form of something, so it play out different characteristics and traits. So as far as when they came together and had sex, they had birth to a Titan. Now a Titan is another Earth-like frequency vibration. Earth frequency vibration beings who carry these frequencies and these elements is about structure, relative, solid, physicality, pattern. So they came up with the frequency concept of keeping things in routine, keeping things in pattern, keeping things in structure. So they had the mind state of king already. King, queen already. Everything else wasn't that type of party. You have to understand where we're getting things from. You see what I'm saying? So at this time, Saturn got his own throne now. Like he got kind of crazy because of these concepts and ideas and wanted his own throne. So, he started having sex with his sister and shit like that, and another Titan, and then we start getting all this other shit. And then this start to break down how we start to get structure, why we start to have authority, why people wanted to be praised, why we need structure, why we need pattern, and why we are under the rulers that we are under right now, because these are the beings we are traveling in. So this is the realm of reality that we have to perceive and how they perceived it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so in their world, we're experiencing a smaller version of that based upon the being we are in. So we're perceiving it from her perspective. You see what I'm saying? God perspective. Now, this story is not even tapping into, they try to tap you into the dragon and all that, but y'all can go to my other videos how I can tell y'all we stay in the Draco constellation. We stay in the bottom half of it. And the bottom half of it is actually the Centaur constellation. And that's the constellation of our actual solar system and our 12 constellations as a person, as a body, live in. And then we are many versions in that, because this has went through so many layers, so much has expanded, so much more to travel through now that we're catching different perceptions. But other beings have traveled here, we have interacted with other beings. For an example, when the Aries part of the like when we was being born, not we per se, but the Pacific being that we are in was born, we was traveling through a time where in the higher realms they was dealing with a ram-like being. And see, the way sex and things was happening in this realm was way different down here. Like, y'all can go to my other videos how I be explaining when you become a star, how you have two energies and things of that nature. But in this world, they was having, you could be birthed in a lot of different ways. You could be birthed from the head space, cutting open the head. You could be birthed from the heart space, keeping the heart mummified. You could be birthed from the root chakra. Now, right here, the most famous one is the root chakra space, the lower organs. You know what I'm saying? This is the most pleasurable one. But for the most part, back then, we was looking the way we looked at sex and things of that nature, it was different. So a lot of times you had the ram, then you would have like a man, woman-like being, and then when they came together and created the centaur-like being, and this, that, and third, and the centaur-like being, they became a race. But see, you have to understand that that's the higher realm. You, specifically you, are a smaller, shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas traveling in the astral realm. So as they're larger, so you're traveling through them. So these are the beings you're in. So that when you cause friction in the astral realm with their frequency vibrations between them, to sustain yourself, you have to create a smaller body with them, aka become a cell in them, or become a sperm in them, or become an organ in them, or become, you see what I'm saying? That's what we're doing now. That's why you're on Earth, motherfucker. And see, when we're going through them, right, we're building a brain, building mind, reacting to more things, and creating more spaceships and layers over ourselves to be able to sustain through these travels. So this lets you know what kind of being we are in, because we made ourselves physically out of the stuff that we are in. The elements and the body and the being that we are in that's larger than us is, compared to where we at, is the Centaur. So, and then the Centaur constellation overall is in the Draconian constellation. So we made ourselves, so the stuff we made ourselves out of, this is why we look like dragons. This is why we are centaurs. See what I'm saying? You can't say you ain't a centaur. Look at your fucking body, dude. woman. Why you think fucking Draconian Naga centaurs? And we have evolved from the Nagas and mermaid-like to develop it into centaurs based upon our travels. Where we at now? Our solar system is specifically in that centaur location of the Draconian area right now. This is why we're building new bottom halves, lower halves. Just think about it. Why women? Why do you feel sexy in a dress? Why is women sexy in a dress? When you look at a dress, what do a woman look like? Especially a woman with curves. A fucking mermaid. Or a fucking Naga serpent. Serpent, dragon, snake. See what I'm saying? But we're developing into the serpent, dragon-like centaur. And then after this, we're going to develop into more real men, women-like. And we're trying to get wings. That's it. This is why you got shoulder blades, things of that nature. But we're creating lighter bodies so we can take lighter realms of realities. But this is how you're supposed to look at all. This is where you get the Gaia hypothesis from. This is where you get, when you go on Constellation on Words, read all that shit. Read the Draconic Transverse. Read where the fuck, matter of fact, let me go on Constellation on Words right now. Like, the shit is in your face. Read that shit. It's in your face. But understand it from a clairvoyance. Read the etymology and the symbolism of the constellations. Go read that whole fucking shit. Read motherfucking the Draconic Transverse. Read all the motherfucking articles. And then it's gonna come to you. You're gonna be like, okay, this is the same thing as all the Bibles. This is the same thing as all this ancient civilizations. And this is the same thing as this is all the same thing. And then it's gonna help you realize that if today, right now, if everybody memories was washed, all religions was washed, all language was washed, the only thing you got is your location, where you at, your body, how to relate to people you are at, and the motherfucking heavens. And I guarantee you, as time and time go on, I guarantee you civilizations come to the same stories. They end up coming with the same kind of stories, the same kind of things. Guaranteed. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air.